Other interesting culture news, you have a woman divorcing what she calls a perfect husband and going viral on social media. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Libby Emmons, who's one of my favorite reporters. Now, she says, quote, she's getting divorced because her marriage doesn't meet her fantasy expectations. Then claims that not only can she quote unquote, can't be herself, but around her husband, but at 32, she doesn't even know what she wants yet. Send the meteor. This is why we can't have nice things. This is as they would say, a white Karen. About 48 seconds long and might be the most mentally vacuous thing you all hear. Well, at least since we listened to a clip of Kamala Harris, but nevertheless, we shall see what she has to say.
I told my husband I wanted a divorce. I walked myself through the logistics of where would I live, how would we split the time with the kids, who gets the dog. I feel like I have been searching for something in my relationship that we don't have for the whole time we've been married, which has been 10 years. There is not a single thing about my husband in and of himself that I do not love. He is the most self-disciplined, loyal, hardworking, good person that you could meet on this planet. Our relationship and what my expectations are for my marriage and what they always have been are not met. I can't be myself with my husband, and it's really confusing because I'm 32 years old, I am a mom of 3, and I still don't know who I am.
I do. She is for the streets, specifically probably the corners where she'll work. Wow. And that's why a lot of guys are saying, I'm not getting married. And again, this guy, who again she admits is a perfect guy, he'll most likely have to pay alimony, depending on what state he lives in, he might have to pay alimony for the rest of his life. Also have to worry about child support, which, again, he should pay, but the issue with child support is a lot of women use that. Well, again, there's 2 guys who get child support as well, but a lot of those gals use child support just to get their hair done, their nails done. They use it to fuel their lifestyle, as most instances that I have ever heard, there's no oversight of what they actually use that money for. It's not like a debit card where you can track expenses. It should be that way. And yeah, what a piece of shit. Pardon the French, but I'm getting tired of these selfish parents. She's got a husband and 3 kids. There used to be a time back in the day you would suck it up and just be a good mom and be a good parent. Again, dads, some guys initiate divorce. However, statistically speaking, it's 78% of the time initiated by women in the United States talking about. It's one of those things where your child, it's scary, but one of the most important things in life is, having kids. When they come, your happiness is secondary. And if you want to raise good kids that are well-adjusted and meaningful, productive members of society, every study ever done, has shown that the kids are always better off when they're raised by a mother and a father. Always. Interestingly, when they're raised by a dad, the kids do about the same in terms of success. But when they're raised by a single mom, interestingly enough, the rate of crime jumps up dramatically. They're not as well adjusted. They are really, if ever, disciplined. It's terrible for the kid. And she's saying, oh no, I need to find myself. There's not a cliche newspeak term. Use some 1984 vernacular in here for being a whore more often than not. And imagine how, this guy, people wonder why men have such a higher suicide rate than women. I pray this guy is strong enough to keep his stuff together for his kids and stay strong. Again, be married. How many years are they married? Like 10 plus years? And just overnight, she's going to divorce him. One of, if not the most important in your life. Just say, no, I'm leaving. Figure it out. You get the kids, maybe have custody, depending on what the court decides, as the court destroys the man. Talk about a soul-crushing experience. And again, a lot of guys end up going to the gym and getting buff. Gym therapy is a real thing. Infinitely better ROI than any quack, I would argue. But nevertheless, no topic for another time, perhaps. Yeah, people wonder why men are scared shitless of marriage these days. Because of gals like this. And again, she said he did everything right. And yet she goes, I'm not feeling it. I don't care about the well-being of my 3 kids. That's what she's saying. How visually, disgustingly selfish is that? And that's a huge culture shift. My grandma and grandpa were happily married for decades until the day they died. Same with my parents, though thank God they're still alive. But we've seen a huge culture shift where Americans have become so selfish. They just basically don't care about the kids. I'm going to get divorced. I'm going to find myself. A cliche statement if I ever heard one. And now it's unfathomable. And the courts are all rigged against men these days. Again, you have to pay alimony, child support, maybe even more. And sometimes they'll weaponize the kids in terms of they'll use that as a negotiating tool. Some gals will fight for 100% custody. And again, the courts, as long as a woman has a heartbeat, they give her the advantage, especially when it comes to custody. I've had friends who have gone through custody battles. It's heartbreaking. It's terrible. And now also half his assets are gone too, as you go through divorce. So even if you had a prenup, which covered you before you got married, now half of what you worked for is gone. It's horrifying. Again, people are saying these are all leftist. They are. I suspect some of this is political as well. However, who started this? Ronald Reagan. One of the biggest mistakes he ever made, the no-fault divorce. Also, banning the new manufacture and sale of machine guns for civilians. Again, Reagan did a lot of good things, but he was not perfect by any means. Nowadays, marriage is treated as a disposable thing. It doesn't mean anything hardly. So, in terms of who ruined marriage, I think for humanity, for all of time, marriage is one of the best inventions ever made, ever. You just mean you're a partner for life. You're in it together. You're gonna build something together. You're gonna have a happy family. You're gonna make sacrifices. You're gonna be some tough times, of course, but overall, long term. But no, now I would argue thanks to feminism and the government getting involved with marriage, now I'm still hoping, praying someday I find the one, or more accurately, someone that becomes the one once you get married. And but yeah, I know so many people have been just viciously destroyed. So many good men turn to alcoholism just because they can barely cope with the situation. Then they get hooked on that. And just one of the biggest mechanisms or moments in someone's life is when they get divorced. It just leads to so many bad things. I'm tired of seeing it time and time again, especially when, again, not every husband is perfect, obviously. But it's so far too often these divorces are happening just because, I want to find myself. Which is number one red flag if you ever hear a gal say that, or a guy. But perhaps I'm alone in this assessment and this analysis. Maybe all the statements, all the responses are saying, "You go, girl." Well, her friends will say that because that's what they do. But I suspect not. Now, this got, again, 1.6 million views and 9,000 likes. With first comments, though, well, it's not the number one comments by number of likes. I'm a little biased, so I think he's handsome and brilliant. Me, the topping show on X, in which I say, quote, "I see many cats and boxes of wine in her future. This is why men stay away from marriage. He put his heart and soul into the marriage and his family. Now he will have to pay alimony and his soul is crushed. The gym is in his future." Getting 10 likes. Brianna Morello says, quote, "Sad. A life of misery and loneliness awaits for her if she doesn't correct course. Someone will scope her husband up and not be scoop her type out, but she meant to say scoop her husband up and not be as ungrateful." Getting 94 likes. Truth. Drama Leech says, "Social media has ruined the entire generation. 100% sad to see." Getting 371 likes. 72 likes. Going up like a stock. And again, in terms of, husbands getting scooped up. Yeah, one of the dumbest things I saw on social media on Facebook a couple days ago, there's some moronic gal, especially moronic. She was married for 20 plus years. And her statement on social media, it's almost flabbergastingly stupid. They're putting this stuff out there. They're bragging about it. She goes, "Yeah, after 20 years of marriage, I decided to get divorced. I'm leaving the kids, and I'm going to find myself." And I was happy to see she get ratioed. One of the first comments was a gal who said, I did the same thing. I've now been alone for 20 years. I found nothing better out there." Again, it blows my mind. You devote your life to someone for 20 years and then go, "Oh no, I'm just going to get divorced." Aurora also says, quote, "Bottom line is she's pretty and other men are showing interest in her. She thinks the grass is greener. It's not. She's going to create her own misery and take her children down with her. She's shallow." Getting 404 likes. Oh yeah. Let's see here. Neo Unreal says, quote, "What I hear, my husband has his shit together and he's an adult. I'm looking for someone that does not exist. I'm never going to find it because a silly notion. Therefore, I'm going to hook up with other men while my husband continues to provide for our children." Getting 750. I got 751 likes. Yeah. Dr. Fate says, "The grass is always seems greener until you hit the wall. In the meantime, her ex-husband is going to find a younger woman and she's going to be so mad about it. And in the end, it will have been for what? To ruin her kids' lives?" Getting 212 likes. Yep. Real Astronaut says, "She's been brainwashed by liberal feminist cult. Social media has convinced her she has missed out." Yeah, getting 49 likes. I agree with that 110%. And again, it's one of those things where I'm not saying it's easy, but if you're an adult and you have kids, your job, partially, if necessary, is to sacrifice your happiness. You're not just sacrificing your time and energy in terms of, you don't have as many hobbies. You're making sacrifices for kids because they're of the utmost importance. They're above your need. They're above you. And I don't think modern culture in the United States, a lot of the younger generation, again, including me, my generation, as you get married, they just don't see it that way. Midwest Mama says, Jesus, she was scared. Wait, what? Jesus. What she was searching for was Jesus. She didn't know it, and now she's ruined multiple lives because of it, getting 100 likes. Faith and Balance says, quote, translation, she found someone she's interested in and having an affair with, and she's trying to justify it, getting 458 likes, which, yeah, we've seen that trend too. Batman Arizona says, quote, so her mental illness led her to get married to some guy, and then she dragged 3 innocent children into the situation. He should get custody. These kids will have a fighting chance of success. Oh, I 110% agree with that. Ellie says, quote, she's not even thinking about how shitty this is for her kids. As a child of divorce, it's one of the worst traumas other than abuse a child can go through. You don't know you don't know who you are. You're a wife and a mom. Act it. Get 174 likes. Yep. 175 likes, rather. Red Leader says social media has fried people's brains. She doesn't know who she is because she's probably busy scrolling through all day and watching other people's fake lives online. I can see how it can be confusing, but it's no excuse. Getting 65 likes. Barton Bella says, who lied to her and told her women don't have a midlife crisis too? Who told her marriage never took any effort? I'd say the years of 28 to 35 are probably the same feeling that a guy has around hitting 42 to 49. It doesn't mean you throw everything away because you are virtually, your virality, is starting to ebb. She is changing or throwing away her life based on biological change. Getting 352 likes. John Joseph says, translation, she wants to be a hoe around because she'll never be, she's never really fulfilled that dick quota. Getting 10 likes. So I'm glad she's getting roasted on social media. And I hope more and more people see this. Again, I'm concerned about, just the sanctimony of marriage. And again, I'm trying not to be too religious on the show. It's not the kind of intent necessarily, but as you have certain topics that kind of cross over into it. I really hope we have a culture shift in the United States to see more sanctity towards marriage in our lives. Again, I think there needs to be a culture shift to respecting that by men and women more. And also needs to be changed on the government level. Because again, right now, the courts are all against the guys. There's got to be a lot of changes. But unless there are any changes, I don't think the rate of marriage is going to increase anytime soon in the United States. But as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments because I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, and a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.